Good morning. Getting a little movement here as we start. Oh, all right. Well, little drop there on whatever news just came out. Not breaking any support or resistance. Just chopping sideways. Pretty quiet uh, until a couple of minutes ago. And we'll see where it flows. Yesterday was quiet. And I think we all on hold here, waiting for tomorrow to see whatever comes out of their mouths. As you probably already seen or heard, 99% chance that they're going to do nothing. So everybody be wait to see what they have to say. Excuse me. All right. Let's see if anything's breaking any support here. Nope. Inside day. Inside day. Pretty nasty reversal. Big range expansion. Bear 180 down under, I guess, normal conditions, news aside. We would expect this to go lower. Oh, good morning, Jake. Housing starts more than expected. So a little bit of positive news there. I mean, everybody knows the Fed wants to see something bad happening, slow down, people running for, job as home assistants and people losing jobs and all of that. But, they did all of this, as they always do. All right. Russell breaking through a little support here, right on the edge. You can see this pivot low. The regional banks, well, they're just dangling here. You can see pre-market. That gray area is pre-market. Yesterday they were trending down, so you can see a breakdown there. They're holding on the edge here. The other side of that, I guess with the balancing act, we'll see if it continues to balance, is that, the regionals, not regionals, the big banks are holding up relatively well. And the depth of this retracement here kind of puts it out of the category of a bear flag. This was a pretty sharp move down. I'm eyeballing this, give or take. I don't know. Usually a bear flag would have stopped. And usually this gap fill or minor resistance. So a little bit of positive, in the depth of retracement there, but still, in the context of this down move. So really don't have anything great there. Retailing, that broke down yesterday. So, a lot of bad things happening under the hood. And so, so far, that's usually the way the markets hold up relatively well, while other things are getting pounded. Review SPY? Sure. So, depending on how you look at this, you could say, well, it's stuck between the moving averages. You had the 50 MA coming over the top, the 20 MA kind of pointed up. But, well, when trading starts today, by the end of the day, unless this was to rally above that bar's high, which I think I can say pretty confidently it's not going to happen. The software will mark this as a pivot. So let's just say, there's a pivot high there and there's a pivot low there. And it doesn't get much worse than having a situation where you have trading ranges within trading ranges. You got a larger trading range, and you got a smaller trading range inside of that. And just like we look at, I don't know, sometimes people look at pendants, ascending pendants or flags or whatever. You see that, or moving averages coming close together like that. Sometimes we refer to it as the spring getting wound. So the forces of supply and demand are coming together toward an inflection point. And some would, I'm just doing this to show the idea, not that we do such sacrilege like this, connecting dots, but just to make the point. They're not support or resistance. It's to make the point that however you look at this through the eyes of moving averages or pivots, ranges, there's this contraction between buyers and sellers, supply and demand. And the idea is, at what point does it break one way or the other? So this news event that's coming tomorrow, when we hear whatever's going to come out of his mouth, right, as to their views as to the future, the markets will make a move. They'll jiggle around, but let's see what kind of sustainable move comes from that. And we'll watch to see what happens with the dollar and interest rates and so on, with how the market reacts to this, whatever he's going to say. And that'll give us ideas as to, breaking out of this contraction and markets not moving, and everybody kind of like, things get quiet and people can tell you have less interest in the markets because nothing's happening here, and they pay more attention to the negative things on the news that are happening in the world or here in the US and, whatever. So when things are trending up, majorities tend to have more lenient views as to the other unpleasantries that are going on. Well, it's trading range back and forth. And right now you can see where prices are at. They're just down near yesterday's low, and that pivot, it's on support. And, and unless sellers take control in some way, and why would they do that ahead of this news other than a jiggle? When prices drop rapidly like this, most of the time what you see happens is, and maybe it's got to come down to this low right here, which is right here, not much more. I mean, if you watch this intraday and we see this kind of precipitous vertical drop, and it's like, oh, look how nasty that is. And the buyers, whether it's an algorithm or just scalpers, they're going to be sitting down here buying. And then we'll see how much it lifts up off of there, or does it go sideways? If it goes sideways from the, jiggling down there, those that bought it, that increase in demand, begin to think maybe I should get the hell out because it's not lifting up to make, some money. So we'll just have to see how much it bounces from there, goes another inside day. Right now it just, we assume not much is going to happen because the news is coming. So, there you go. SPY, broke below. Now it's below 2 moving averages, closed there, but it's the support that's holding it. This little congestion right there. So SPX, nothing got hit yesterday. Those are the numbers from yesterday and today. Last I looked, the top number is still the same. It's relatively close, and the bottom come up 10 points to 15. It's pretty close, and so the probability of things getting hit increase. And as I said yesterday, it's best to wait to see if prices make a move one way or another, and then see if you can get a little better premium, or down below or up above. Again, as the spring gets wound, the idea is like it's going to pops. It's going to make a bigger move than what it typically has. And over the last week or so, the moves have been about, well, give or take, maybe 30, 33, 34 points. You got them averaging out over 5 days, but you can see the majority of the bars are relatively small than a big, nasty red bar, and so on. Internals aren't telling us much, Robert. Sentiment is still down here, and breadth is right in the middle of the range. So what we have found over the years is that if breadth reaches an extreme by itself, it's a greater indicator of at least a short-term, higher low versus sentiment reaching an extreme. So what we need to see now, I think ideally, we're in September, the seasonal, bad month and all of that, this kind of whatever's going on here. We want to get in toward the end of the year. And of course, we'll see what happens in October. It comes down here. Like we get a sell-off, breath gets here. Maybe, if this comes down to maybe 4,300, give or take, and we'll have a rally. And then from there, we'll assess, the strength of that, how strong is breadth, how deep is the retracement, and then we'll October being whatever it's known as the crash. Well, I don't think any crash kind of scenario is in the works here, but as we get into October, that's where we get the potential opportunity for a big move into the end of the year. And we'll just have to see how that unfolds, or what it is right now. The internals aren't helping us at all. Just neutral. Interest rates, inching up, but I'm sure waiting. You can see they're moving up a little bit, and as this moved up, the markets moved down. It's a 30-year, moving up a little bit. The dollar backed off a little yesterday, not much, but that's holding there. And look at crude oil; it's almost to the top of the range. But look at that. And so while we know what this means, the markets have held up pretty well in the face of this oil going up like that. And we're all going to be paying quite a bit more at the pumps. And this isn't moving very much, surprisingly. But the weekly chart, well, it's up at this resistance. So maybe it's just stalled there for that reason. And ideally, we do not see this break above that horizontal line and that prior pivot there. I'm surprised that this isn't moving up, but a lot of the energy ETFs aren't moving. So XLE is up against resistance. So they have their own technicals to deal with. And see, it's up at the top of the range here, even though the price of oil is going up. But if oil stays up there, these energy stocks are likely to break out. They're not doing it right now, but they're likely to break out as long as oil stays up at that level. And when it gets up there, looking at crude or USO, USO's got some room, but it's probably not going to move that much when crude gets up there. But maybe crude oil, goes sideways up there and breaks higher, and that's not going to be a good thing. The idea of inflation. And so that's something the Fed's got to be taking into consideration. And then these housing starts come in a little hotter than expectation. And I don't know what this is doing here. That's not doing anything. As interest rates started moving up, all of these got real sloppy. These home builders, LEN. I met a guy over the weekend who works for Lennar, and he says they are so busy, they're hiring people like crazy. Now, of course, what they're doing is, all of this advance that's been going on, it's been fantastic for them. And so we see interest rates starting to perk up a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But what he's saying, they're hiring like crazy, and we see the deterioration beginning here. So I'll be talking to him again in the near future. All right. And then I mentioned Home Depot yesterday, that came down, and it came down a little further. So there's more evidence of the interest rates having an effect. And so there are some things going on with these high interest rates that are having the desired effect of those Fed rate increases, but just not enough. And so we'll see what they say tomorrow. Well, Florida market is a big difference, but Lennar is a big company, and they don't just build in Florida. I don't think so. But as you start to look at, like I said, we looked at Toll Brothers, you look at Home Depot, it's not just one company. You start looking at across the board, home construction, and they're all being, sold, distribution. So, all right, let me move on here. Bitcoin's up here, but interest rates are high. I think someone mentioned in the room where I read, I think it was Alex pointed me toward an article in the Wall Street Journal, whereas like people want to try and transfer their low interest mortgages to people buying homes. So there's some out of the box thinking there, whether the mortgage companies allow that to happen. I'm sure they'd rather get a new mortgage at higher interest rates, but there you go. But as far as today goes, it just looks like, for the moment, we'll see if it breaks through some support or whether we're just going to have another boring kind of day. All yours, Dan. San Francisco. Who the hell wants to live there, Lawrence?
Good morning. Yeah, San Fran, Chicago, Portland, New York City, LA, the list goes on. So Alex, right, when you posted that little note, I was looking at the Dow 30, which I always do to, I'm always just looking for outliers. What's up a lot or down a lot. And CBX is at the top of the list there, oil. Everything else flat to down. But this is a bullish pattern, daily, weekly, monthly. Red bar ignored, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside bars. Now it's a gap breakout. Bullish weekly, monthly. I'm putting that in a window. CVX. Let's see, do I have any earnings here? Couple, not many. A POG 51, gap into resistance. Put spread idea if there's any juice. AutoZone down 57, but $2,500 stock. 24 gap in the support here. It's range bound. SPX just looks horrible. It looked fantastic. This was a beautiful double bottom. Many times when I trade double bottoms in the green room, folks there know it all the time. On things like this, I say I'm looking for a downside shakeout, like the gap reversal, something. And that's a beautiful example. And we're swing traders. So if you're on that 2-3 days, we're not sitting through this. But now this thing looks horrible. That looks like in a death trend. So if this thing can't bounce very much, like I'd say under 340, Oh, that looks horrible. Starbucks, I think, got a downgrade. That's a trading. I mean, another example. This was very tradable for a little 2-day, 3-day bounce, whatever, as a double bottom. And then red bar, kind of a 1, 2, 3, and it was a trading range in a downtrend. Weekly, monthly look lower. Disney was in the news here this morning. That was a sell setup. Something about them investing $60 billion in some project. I don't know. It's a deep retracement, but downtrend, daily, weekly, monthly, they have their troubles. X, I think, had some earnings, 30.85. 30-minute high. This is an idea. Let's see if it can hold it. I'll put that in a window. Rocket Lab. I don't think it's earnings, but it had other news. I think one of their rockets had trouble yesterday. Percent-wise, that's massive gap. 80 divided by 5. It's a big, nasty gap. RKT. Why am I looking at that? I think I got a downgrade also or something. You know, fluid, far from the 20. We'll see what it does around this 200. Avgar, big gap up, $9. Sloppy, but if you feel like watching it for a couple days, see if it can give you a base of some sort. Dunking, kind of a sloppy bull flag here. If this is your flagpole, big old move. It's shaping up. Nothing to do today. Look at Chewy. Man, that is a death trend. Wow. Look at this parallel 20, 50. I don't think there's 2 green bars in a row this whole move. And look at that power 15-minute chart. Wow, that is liquidation. Pool. Greg mentioned yesterday. A short, you got a head and shoulders breakdown. You got a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. Cart. That's Cart. That's the new IPO today. That's why there's no data. Google set an alarm at 183.50, and that was a closing breakout. But we're always watching the broader markets too. But it's an uptrend, daily, weekly, monthly, relative strength. Met was a nice, so that was a bullish gap closing breakout, little continuation pattern. I see one print way the heck down here, but I don't trust it if it's not liquid. Alex was trading this yesterday, breakout of inverse head and shoulders. 4 is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So that looks great. I'll set an alarm. I always set alarms early, so 59:20. But market seems weak here, so I don't think these will go off. And we obviously have Fed tomorrow, so not a good environment to take on new swings, since the 4 horsemen look bad and got pending news. Reversal and support here yesterday, LRCX. Now this could be a beautiful day trade long. Look at that beautiful 15-minute chart. So as long as it can hold this base right here, ideally at 10 a.m. reversal, then this would be a great 30-minute high if the markets are holding. I'm going to put that on the other computer. And tau. We're watching this as a 1, 2, 3. So you can see it kind of close with 40% retracement. So I really don't want it going any deeper. Mixed shelf offering. So this, I'm waiting for a 1, 2, 3. Airbnb's a buy setup, and see it's down here now, so I don't think it's going to trigger. But I got an alarm at 144. And this is still, as long as I get fluid controlled bars down, this will be even better at the 50 MA in this prior low for a counter trend bounce. So ideally, it'll come down 2 more fluid bars. We get through the Fed, and on Thursday, we buy over prior bars high. NEM. Thomas, not sure what time frame you're looking at. It's not jumping out at me. It's up 5 bars at the declining 50, so I got no interest. If you're looking at the 15-minute chart, set this prior high, see if it can bobble around at yesterday's high and then take out a 30 or 60-minute high for a day trade is all. But yeah, no, the daily is nothing. And obviously you want to look at GDX at a prior high. You want to look at the US dollar. IoT, another buy setup, deep retracement. I'm going to set an alarm 28:15. Set. MCK, we were watching this all morning yesterday. Greg found inverse head and shoulder breakout. This will be a fantastic 1, 2, 3. But you know, for a 1, 2, 3 to set up, I mean, inside bar today, it means tomorrow we buy over the hot cart. Greg, cart, CART. MCK would be a great 1, 2, 3, but that means you would have to buy. You would buy tomorrow over today's high. Oh, now I see it gapping up here. But that's a nice pattern. That's inverse head and shoulder. I got a couple of alarms here. Zulu India, we're long puts. We got a low alarm, so nice there. I'll set new alarms. It's kind of a slow mover. Alarm on HIG. HIG gap breakout, but you know, it's just not quality enough for me to want to do anything with it right now. Pool. I'm gapping down under yesterday's entry. Look at the MCK going middle chart. Look at this MKFG. MKFG bottom right. It's a bottoming pattern here. All right, so we'll see if it can take out 30-minute high. I'll set a new alarm 130. But 4 horsemen, still bearish bias here. Riot, we sold a put spread yesterday. I have a low alarm. You know, still fine, but it's a low alarm. All right, I'm watching LRCX. I'm watching X. Met.
Norwegian Airlines starting out looking okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wide range closing breakout, 3 inside bars. Looks fantastic. Relative strength.
DraftKings also, if it can get above today's high.
Yeah, I got an alarm already. Yep.
Sending an alarm we looked at yesterday, but it closed weak. IoT sent an alarm at yesterday's high.
Yeah, I set one 2820 already. CMA covered small. Microsoft. Okay. Yeah, Microsoft. That was a small bear island reversal. A coin low alarm. All right, so now I'm going to set a new alarm 8350 on coin as a possible red bar Nord breakout. MKFG again, bottom right. Kind of whipping around here.